Abusua ene President Mahama one eye ahemfo atitiriwa a omo Ghana ha ehyiai a ye from the National House of Chief Committee abusua omo hyiai ema owura JDM da won asepa ene eye okwan a omo fa so eboa na otimi ebedi omampanyin abusua yentie ensem ekoso ewo sa meeting ase na won so kire wadwen.
Call on the president before we accede to the request from the regions and the new administration that is coming. But I want to first thank you all for the warm welcome you gave us during the campaign when we called on you in your palaces. I do think that the role you played in welcoming us and giving us good counsel on how to conduct our campaigns and make sure that the election is held peacefully, in a peaceful atmosphere. I think all that contributed to the successful election we had. We must thank all of you and thank the Almighty God for once again seeing Ghana through a successful election. And I think that the way the whole world celebrated Ghana for the peaceful transition has added one more accolade in our caps as the beacon of democracy in Africa. And it is something that we must all take a pride in. It is my intention that we will hold regular dialogues on many issues of importance, not only to the chieftaincy institution, but also to the progress of our dear nation, Ghana. And so the way we'll structure this meeting, we would do these welcome addresses, short remarks, and then after that, and then we will go into our discussion. But there are a few issues that we need to begin to look at in all the security briefings I've got after December 7th. The issue of chieftaincy disputes has become a major issue. Anytime a chief passes away and a new chief has to be selected, invariably two rival chiefs or three rival chiefs suddenly appear. In the 1992 Constitution, it was decided from the unpleasant experiences of the past where government used to interfere in chieftaincy matters to leave the issue of chieftaincy completely to the chiefs themselves. That is the National House of Chiefs and the regional houses of chiefs. But then I do think that there are issues that come up, especially with the selection of new chiefs that create security crisis. And so when law and order breaks down, government is called in to protect the peace. And so I think that we must work with you to see how we can prevent this from happening. I remember that at a point it was decided that there should be a codification of the lines of succession. I don't know how far that project has gone, but it looks like the issue of disputes is becoming even worse by the day than it was before this codification took place. And so that's an issue that I think we should look at. As I said, we intend to hold a constitutional review validation conference. And at that conference, the intention is to put the work of the Fiajo Committee, which was the initial work that was commissioned by President Atta Mills, and then also the work that was done by the Chamber and Sabunsu Committee under the commission of President Nana Akufo-Addo, and put all those on the table so that we see what is still relevant in terms of amending our constitution and what is no longer relevant. As you operate under a constitution, you find some loopholes and things that were not completely anticipated. And so for every country, after a while, there might become the necessity to make amendments to a constitution. And I just give the example of the impasse between Parliament and the Supreme Court as to who has the mandate to declare seats vacant and all that. And so if we're looking at the Constitution again, that's one of the areas we should look and tighten so that it makes it clear who has the constitutional mandate to do what. There might be other issues like that that we need to look at. There are various issues that I think that if we amend, it would make our constitution more of a living document than it is currently. We've operated under it since 1992, and I think that there are some aspects of it we must look at. I know when I came through your palaces, many of you raised the issue of the Supreme Court ruling barring chiefs from summoning their subjects to their palaces. And so when the opportunity comes to look at the Constitution again, I'm sure that you have a position that you can present to be able to look at that aspect of it in order that we are able to make clear what the lines of authority are in respect of our traditional rulers. In our campaign, one of the issues I raised was to see how we can increase the involvement of chiefs in the governance architecture that we have. There are some things that we need your influence to support government to be able to achieve. Protection of the environment is one of them. The traditional areas belong to you, but it's government agencies like the EPA and all those agencies that are supposed to have the legal mandate to protect the environment. But I mean, the EPA is sitting here in Accra. How many offices do they have in your traditional areas? So if somebody goes into a forest reserve and starts cutting trees down, the chief has absolutely no power to stop the person. And most of the time, the person will come with a license from Accra and say, oh, they gave me a license, this is my concession, I've come to cut timber. And so how do we get the chiefs, better involved so that it's a synergy between government and our traditional authorities? These are all issues that have been agitating my mind, and I raised them during the campaign. And so I do think that when we have the opportunity, we'll be able to discuss it. And then when the opportunity comes to look at the overarching law of the land, which is the Constitution, maybe you might have some ideas that we can include there so that we're better able to harness the influence that you have in your areas to be able to do things. And so these are just a few. There are many more things I'll brief you on when the media has left, but these are the few remarks that I'll make. And again, say a very warm welcome to all of you, and to thank you very much for answering to our call. Thank you.
Your Excellency, though it's a bit belatedly, but since you beckon us to be here, I'm rather turning it around. We graciously welcome you, sir, to our first meeting as the Standing Committee of the National House of Chiefs. We graciously do welcome you, and once again, congratulations. You've done well, and as majority of us anticipated, that you go through our normal constitutional provisions, etc., etc. Ghana is safe. We thank you again for that. There's peace prevailing in the kingdom. If the outgoing illustrious president couldn't set a good tone or set a good tone, a lot depended on you as incoming. Fortunately for Nananum and our respective kingdoms, you graciously also extended your arm with good, ample opportunity for you to meet the president, outgoing president, and the two of you together, everything prevailed calm for Mother Ghana. We thank you once again for that. This is an important and impromptu meeting if just someone else, but as you touched on, we shall reserve a lot of the detailed discussion because there's a lot to be done. Because most of us have, at least I got to know it through TV3, that our ministry is no more the ministry as it is. There's a lot to be done structurally, and also with regard to how we interpret our constitutional standing and provisions, and vis-a-vis the Chieftaincy Act. What is most important to most of us is right down from the word go. I think this is an opportunity time for us, the National House of Chiefs, to once again go back and reassert ourselves J.J. Rollins set the tune after taking over, and Ray has created chieftaincy, etc. and so on. Those of us who are old men now, I had my 86th birthday 4 or 5 days ago. That is 31st December, you already know it. He re-established the secretariat under National House of Chiefs, the then president, etc. So we had direct control, direct negotiation, dealings with the presidency, till subsequently other leaders changed it. These are opportunity for us to review all those situations and masters, but we shall talk about it in detail when it is time. And then also, what is so vital to us is the standing and the role of our staff. If we go back to the parent law, constitution, it is Our Excellency the President that ought to provide staffing for the National House of Chiefs, regional houses of chiefs to work and tick properly. Nowhere does anybody encounter civil service commission, whatnot, they stay in Accra over here and sit over here, and they can go over our head and promote somebody from Kumasi just to cite that off the record without our knowing or hearing anything about it. It is the president that ought to provide staffing for the regional houses per se and the national house. All these are detailed issues you shall work on and shall go by. And then you also graciously hinted about some portions of the Constitution that ought to be touched on, amended, molded, and whatnot to make it a living document. We are graciously ready. We've got some of our old documents there. We remember when old Professor Mills created this Constitutional Review Committee. Nananum did not sleep. I think it was under Professor Debile's period or so. We sat down, did some yeoman's work, homework properly. Sleepless nights. We presented them to him. And then what happened? Virtually 99.something9% of what we recommended were just jettisoned and thrown away. We still have the documents available. So when it is time and you graciously invite us and give us chance, we'll be humble enough to admit hard facts and let you know what we put down on paper. Because most of them, if they had been implemented, a lot of the headaches wouldn't have expired now, or transpired as it is pertaining at the moment in our country. Luckily, we have our mother Ghana who always control us to exhibit good temperament of moderation. So please, from regional houses point of view, at least from the Ashanti one, and before even I conclude, your old friend Utumfo, graciously, thank you, sir.